The actual route of the flight was Paris, Amsterdam, Anchorage, Alaska, and then back to Japan.
30 minutes later, everything went wrong.
ハイジャッカーが今回5人いた。日本人が2人で、他の人たちが3人。
ただそれは怖いと思いますよ。
As you see in the movies, with the gun to the head.
عائلات للمختطفين كانوا يفكروا دائما أسوأ سيناريو.
他受け入れてくれなかったんですよ。で、ドバイはいいよ。
They were lucky they landed in Dubai.
Well, the decision was taken to give responsibility to the defense minister, Sheikh Mohammed. He was 23 years old at the time.
全部その場自分で考えなきゃいけなかったんだと思うんですよ。
To be in that position must be so hard.
You've got the eyes of the world on your shoulder. What if this goes wrong?
Imagine you were in charge of a country and you've got this terrorist organization taking control of the media and the narrative of the hijacking. You don't want that on your ground because it's not going to do good for your country's image. So it's someone else's problem. And fortunately, Dubai stepped up, accepted the problem and dealt with it.
Sheikh Zayed knew something about Sheikh Mohammed. He was possibly the right sort of person to start the conversation. Who else in Dubai had experience of doing that? In fact, who else in the world?
So the hijacker のね、目的っていうのはね、元々のね、目的っていうのは、テルアビブでテロが起きた時の犯人がイスラエルに捕らえられてるわけね。
Okamoto was judged in an Israeli court. He pled guilty and was sentenced to life in prison.
そのイスラエルがリフーズしたから。
They told Sheikh Mohammed they would begin killing passengers on Flight 404 1 an hour until they secured the release. Sheikh Mohammed was calm, he was collected, he acted as a person beyond his years.
シェイク・モハメッドさんは本当に冷静でなければならないってことは理解をしていたと思います。自分の例えば声のトーンだとか話し方が相手を刺激するってことは十分に理解されていたと思います。
There is something about how he uses his voice. So I expect it's not one tone all the time. It has ups and downs, but also we talk about pauses.
الشيخ محمد عنده شيء الذي يجذب الناس حوله.
そのように育てられた国のリーダーがやったという結論に対しては非常に尊敬できると思います。そのコミュニケーションツールがこうバーッと電話とかなんかが誰々殺し殺しろバーッとみんなにアサインされて、相当整理されたとは思います。
This is the hijacker. You can't really see that he's holding his gun and grenade. My dad on top of the tanker. When my dad used to reminisce about the Japanese Airlines 404, he'd often talk about Sheikh Mohammed. You know, he was always very fond of the fact that, you know, he was a young man that was able to do, you know, all these negotiations, inner strength to be able to orchestrate what he did.
One of their number, a female hijacker, blew herself up by mistake. She got out of a chair and a grenade went off.
الركاب كان يخافون والمتوترين. أستطيع أن أتخيل هذا الوضع صعب جدا، كان صعب جدا.
Sheikh Mohammed was the middleman. He was stuck in between the rock and a hard place. He managed somehow to talk them down from this precipice of killing people and then get them down to a level where they can actually discuss the possibility of releasing people from the plane.
もうシェイク・モハメドが何歳であろうと乗客の家族からすればですね、もうお願いしますっていう気持ちだったんじゃないかなと思います。
You're holding 139 lives in your hand. That's what it can feel like as a hostage negotiator.
أريد منه سيارتين من أجل التكييف الكهرباء، من أجل التكييف داخل الطائرة، من أجل المبردات والكونديشن.
Sheikh Mohammed agrees to a request for more fuel so that they can keep the air conditioners running. So now we've got a physical connection between what's going on in the control tower and the ground and the hijackers on the plane. The engineer is refueling the plane with a gun pointed at him, put his complete trust in Sheikh Mohammed.
Sheikh Mohammed suggested that when the rubbish came off the aeroplane that they would go through it. My dad was sifting through the bits of paper and he came across a detailed drawing which the captain had probably drawn about the hijackers.
Specific details about the number of hijackers on that plane and what the current situation was.
Powerful man and with the right decisions made at the right time.
He was making the hijackers nervous. And he was doing this by getting helicopters to fly around the area and vehicles to drive around the area so that the situation became quite unnerving for the hijackers. He was getting himself into a position where he would be able to negotiate in a more powerful position. And he did this psychologically. He was able to get them to the point where they could start thinking about, how do we get out of this now?
And then, of course, he wanted something in exchange. That's how terrorism works. You basically deal with terrorists by saying, look, we'll give you this if you give us something. And he got it. He got those two people off the plane.
The hostage taker said, out of respect to Sheikh Mohammed, because of the way he had been conducting himself in the negotiations. Well done. Respect.
彼自身は誰かに学んだわけではおそらくなくて、その場で自分の最善を尽くした。
Sheikh Mohammed put the thought into the terrorist's mind. They're not going to get away with it.
He made it clear in no uncertain terms that there was no outcome here in Dubai for you.
By the end of the time that they're on the runway at Dubai, they were actually much more pliable to release their passengers and then stay alive.
Which ended up with the plane flying to Benghazi.
でそこでやっぱり彼らはもうこれはダメかなと思って納得したんだと。
في ليبيا تحرر كل المختطفين ثم فجروا الطائرة.
As soon as it landed, the front section of the plane blew up. The emergency chutes came out and the passengers tumbled out. About 10 minutes after they got out, the whole thing just went up. They had a bomb on board.
بالنسبة لنا الأهم شيء حياة الناس.
Thanks to the patient and careful handling of this matter by the authorities of the countries concerned, the passengers and crew have escaped grave injury.
Sheikh Mohammed was in that control tower for over 80 hours. That's more than 3 days.
本当にその意志の強い
A prototype hijacking. So no one knew what you needed to do to get to where you needed to be. So in many respects, he sort of set the bar for it.
And that's why we're attracted and influenced by people, and we call them role models.
To have such old head on such young shoulders, would that have been his training throughout his life?
それはもう今更ながら本当に感謝をしますということだと思いますね。
يستحق للاحترام وربما يعني كثير من الناس العاديين طبعا لا يعرفون ما هو لأنه هو يعني موجود هيك يعني عالم فوق السقف بالنسبة لنا.
The hijackers' hearts and minds were completely turned around, and I think that's the power behind Sheikh Mohammed's words that day.
日本語で言うと肝が据わってる。